Last lesson, we looked at problems like this where we had to pull out the greatest common factor and then factor by saying that 10 factors of 10 and subtracted of 3 would have been 5 and 2. Then we figured out our signs. We did the same over here, factoring out a 3 first, trying to get a greatest common factor. However, we're not always going to have a greatest common factor. That's what you should look for first, is to pull something out. But in this case, I'm not able to pull anything out here. So when I try to factor this, instead of just saying what are my factors of 2 that add to 5, what I need to do is I need to look at these two outside numbers. I want to multiply them together. 2 times 2 gives me 4. What I need to ask then is what are factors now of 4 that add to give me 5? Well, those numbers are 4 and 1. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to break down this middle term into a 4x and a 1x. I'm going to write everything else down just as it was. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be taking this first part here that I've circled in red, and then this part here which I've boxed in green, and what I want to do with each of these is to pull out the greatest common factor that I can. The biggest thing I can pull out here is a 2 and an x. It leaves me with an x plus 4 for the red part. When I do the green part here, well, there's really nothing I can pull out. So I can say I can pull out a 1, and I'm left with an x plus 2. And of course, I've already figured out that I made a mistake here. This cannot be 4 here. When I pulled out 2, this 4x should have become now just a 2. So what we should notice here, when you do these problems, is you're going to get two things that were left behind here. Those two factors should be the exact same. That's one of your final factors. And then the other thing that you should notice is the part that you pulled out, the 2x and the 1, that becomes your other factor. So you have two different factors. Your answer is x plus 2 times the quantity 2x plus 1. Let's look at another example. Same idea. I first look, can I pull anything out of everything? No, I can't. So I'm going to start by saying, what is 5 times 9? It is 45. So what are factors of 45 that add to give you 18? Those numbers are going to be 15 and 3. So what I'm going to do is I need to break this down into 15x and 3x. Now again, take a look at this sign here. The only way that happens is if both of them are negative. Rewrite the rest of it. What I'm going to do again, box my first part, and then box my second part. Make sure you keep this sign that's in front of this 3x when you do that. I can factor out of this first guy a 5x, leaving me with an x minus 3. And in the second one here, I can pull out a 3. I don't like any negatives in front of the x though, so I'm actually going to pull out a negative number, a negative 3. And that'll leave me with an x here, and 9 divided by negative 3 gives me a negative 3. So again, just like in the last one, I have these two numbers that were the same, that were factored, or that were left behind, and I also have these two numbers that were pulled out, 5x minus 3. That becomes my other factor. There's my factored answer. Now, these last problems here, same thing to start. Always check, can I pull out a greatest common factor? I can pull out, not quite a 4, but I can pull out a 2 here, which would leave me with 2x squared plus 3x minus 9 here. And now I'm to the same point I was. 2 times 9 gives me 18. So what are factors of 18 here, for 2 times 9? Factors of 18 that subtract to give you 3. Well, those two factors are going to be 6 and 3. So I'm going to have a 6x and a 3x. To get positive 3 here, we need to have a positive here and a negative there. I'll rewrite the rest of it. And don't forget this 2 that was out in front. We can't just get rid of the 2. We have to leave it there. Okay, leaving the 2 there. What I'm going to pull out from this first set is a 2x, leaving me with an x plus 3. And I'm going to pull out a negative 3 here to leave me with, again, another x plus 3. So, x plus 3 is your first factor. What I pulled out, 2x minus 3, is my other factor. And I had this 2 out in front to finish the job. Go ahead and pause the video and give this last one a try on your own. See what you can do. Alright, you should have pulled out here a 3, leaving you with 5x squared minus 9x minus 2. So you should have done 5 times 2 equaling 10. Factors of 10 that subtract to 9 should be 10x and a regular x. We're going to have a minus 10 and a plus positive 1 to be able to make my negative 9x as I need. Everything else stays there, and I leave the 3 out in front. What I'm going to take from this first group here is a 5 and an x, leaving you with an x minus 2. And then I can't factor anything out of here, so I'm going to technically say that I factor out a 1, and leaves me with my x minus 2 that I need. And I still have a 3 out in front of all of that. So, my final answer, I have x minus 2 for the terms that were left behind, a 5x plus 1 for the terms that were factored out, and a 3 because that's what we took out from the beginning.